Patreon.com/the Walk Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there.
If you're watching this right now and you haven't hit the like button, Billy, get on it. Bug your brother. Tell him to do the same. With starting on a negative, I guess, which is last night's loss. Before we even talk the loss and Chris Bassett, something really interesting happened in, I think it was the second inning. Maybe it was the third. Either way, Javi Baez. The whole scenario, in my opinion, was an example of how to handle a negative situation with your team by AJ Hinch. Manager of the Tigers, was about as professional as you could possibly be. So this is what went down. Javi Baez hit a double off the top of the wall. Now, to start with, he admired it all the way until it hit the top of the fence. It probably should have been a triple. In fact, it almost guaranteed was a triple. So he dogged it into second base. Then he lost track of how many outs there was. He thought there were 2 outs. There was only 1. So he was running on contact, wound up getting thrown out as he was rounding third base by Dalton Varsho, who caught the fly ball and just lobbed it back into Bichette to tag second for the out. So not only did he dog it out of the batter's box, mental brain fart as to where the Tigers were in the game, where they were in the inning, and the fact he literally cost them a run because he should have been on third base had he hustled out of the batter's box to begin with. He could have tagged and scored a run. Of course, not knowing what out it is, who knows? He may have just trotted in without even tagging up. But AJ Hinch, man, after watching what happened with Tyler O'Neill of the St. Louis Cardinals, right? And basically he was called out by
a public undressing
by his manager, Marmol, in St. Louis. And if you look at the replay, it didn't feel like he was dogging it as much as maybe Marmol made it out to be, but he did make a huge public display of it. Now, AJ Hinch on the other side, this is a dude who is known for his player development skills, his ability to connect with players in the clubhouse. He obviously has that World Series ring with the Astros, whether there's an asterisk next to it or not. He has it. He took Javi Baez aside, their most high-paid, high-profile player on a very young Tigers team, a team that's 3-8, by the way. He pulled him from the game, but he did so by bringing him out of the dugout back into the clubhouse. Obviously told him this is completely unacceptable. You're out of the lineup. But he didn't make a big deal about it. And then even afterwards in the press conference, when he was pressed about it, talked about it, he said, listen, Javi knows what he did. Mental lapse. He'll be back in there next game. Right? Like this is the dude who is the highest paid player on the team. And you shouldn't have exceptions for that when you're trying to create a culture with young players. I just loved the way it was handled.
Yeah. Not much else to say on my part. Javi Baez, 6-year, $140 million contract with the Tigers last offseason. Has not looked worth it since then. Hit 238 last season. He's hitting like 1 for 40 right now. Sorry, 5 for 40 right now. It's he's having a hard go of it.
He looks checked out, dude. Like when the Tigers went out and signed him, most of you will remember everyone was talking about the Tigers like folks are talking about the Orioles right now. Like the Tigers are about ready to take a step forward. They brought in Javi, signed him for big money, and it just fell apart on them. Yeah. Some injuries last year with pitching didn't help. And then basically when they saw the trajectory of the team, they scaled back and went into full rebuild mode again. It makes you wonder if maybe a change in scenery, like with so few great shortstops available, Javi Baez is a good shortstop.
Well, I mean, I was kind of hoping the Jays would go for it. I mean, he was one of the names that I thought, that'd be a guy worth going after. Um, yeah, I don't know. Let's just talk broader Jays Tigers recap though. We've spent enough time on Javi Baez. Unless you have anything else you want to really
No,
sink your teeth
we
into.
can move in. Obviously, the bats didn't show up is the big thing with yesterday. A 3-1 loss. This Jays team, of the 6 games they have won, or 8 games they have won, have come from behind 6 times. They keep putting themselves in precarious spots and really making it so that they need to do some late inning heroics to pull it out.
Can we start with Chris Bassett and his performance yesterday? Because we went into last night's game with pretty clear-cut expectations of what we wanted from him.
And he delivered, man. Chris Bassett looked
That's what
really
I wanted to
good.
ask you was, are you happy with what we got out of him? We got, 6 innings pitched?
2 earned runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, 107 pitches. That is what I want out of Chris Bassett every single time he takes the mound.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like exactly. I mean, wasn't like thrilled with it, but that's what I want out of him. Disappointed
he
the
got
bats
into some
couldn't
trouble.
have supported him a little bit more. Yeah, 107 pitches. Give me that. I would have liked to see him go into the 7th inning, but that's also, I feel like, maybe an ambitious outing to hope that he's going through 7, especially with the way MLB is nowadays. 7 innings is a really good game. So, but it was the Tigers. I don't know. I'm bummed out.
It was the Tigers.
We're going into a hard stretch here. I mean, we'll touch on the week 3 preview later, but I wanted more. I wanted the sweep. I know the sweep is a tall task, but
I mean, you're not alone. I think Jays Nation in general wanted the sweep, obviously, and it was a very winnable game. I think that's what's frustrating about it. At no point did either team really feel like they were going to take it. You know, even in the 9th, I was like, are the Jays going to come back again? Like, it's not like the Tigers ever really had their foot on the throat of the Blue Jays. It just was one of those little whimper games that the whole time, I don't know, man. It wasn't a fun game to watch personally. I didn't think it stood out as anything other than something to be forgotten about. Listen, it's April 12th. There's going to be these sort of games. You can't dwell on an April 12th loss to the Tigers.
You can, and I'm going to.
Well, the fans can, but as the team, they should just move on. There's some real competition coming to town right now.
We always talk about taking care of business against the bad teams. Tampa Bay Rays are 13-0. When they played the Tigers, it was a sweep. That's how you get to stay undefeated, as you sweep teams.
Sweep everybody, yes.
When they faced off against Spencer Turnbull, 7 earned runs through 2 2/3 innings.
I mean, Turnbull went into the game yesterday with the ERA above 13. So he has been roughed up in his 2 previous starts.
Right. Based on that,
yes,
against the Rays. So it was disappointing that the Jays could do nothing. I don't know.
There's going to be those games.
Not okay with it. Matt Chapman was out for a 2nd game in a row. Santiago Espinal at 3rd base.
Now,
there's nothing to be worried about. Was it an illness?
Chappie was playing DH the game before in the 2nd game of the series there, so he wasn't completely out. I think it's just a virus. I don't think there's really anything to worry about there. It is a bummer when a guy's bat is as hot as Matt Chapman to need to take a day off, but we've all been there, head in a bucket. It's not pleasant. So hopefully Chappie's feeling better today. That's the thing with the flu. It kind of sucks because even if he is playing today, he's probably not 100%, right? Like, it's like going back to work after missing 1 day and you're just like, I still shouldn't be here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you think of Espinal at 3rd base? Is this anything?
Yeah, he looked good.
Looked all right.
He looked good. You know what I saw on Twitter today? I wish I could remember the handle, but it doesn't matter. Basically, it was Santiago Espinal equals Ryan Goins. And I was like, that's a very apt comparison. Just a good defensive player. You can kind of move around the diamond. Probably will have a big moment here and there, but probably not an everyday player.
So adequately put.